Hi, welcome to Doodle Club. We've got a nice, quick, easy monster head to draw today. Going to show you an interesting and new way of drawing a mouth, which I really like. So yeah, let's have a look at the materials you're going to need today. So an A5 Art Gecko classy sketchbook is what I'm using, but then in that you will need a pencil. Just to throw in a few little guidelines, you will also need a few pens for the actual artwork. So I'm going for a 0.05, which I'm going to use for some of the little tiny details right at the end of the session, some shading in, that kind of stuff. A 0.5, this is my main pen that I'm going to use for all of my outlining. Then a 1.5 just for a little tiny bit of colouring in around the pupils and around the mouth and around the nose today. So yeah, that's what you're going to need. Go and grab yourself a pencil. Now the great thing about this particular character is the initial first lines that we put in, they don't matter too much if you mess around with the scale at all. Okay, so the first line we'll put in, let's go and put in just a head kind of shape. I'm going to go quite high up. Let's go about here. Go and put in a head shape. I've gone, let me go a little bit darker with that so you can see it. I'll go darker so you can see it, but you should only go as dark as you need to go so that you can see it. Makes it easier to rub out afterwards. There's a head shape. That's quite circular. Feel free to mess around with that shape as much as you want, you know. Make it oblong, make it fatter, make it squarer, make it wonkier, whatever you want to do. Mess around with that shape a little bit. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add this really interesting mouth. It's like, what's it called? The Sarlacc or something like that from the Star Wars films. It's going to be a mouth that's going to be similar to that. So what we're going to do is from the bottom here, we're going to do a nice big circle. Again, wonky circle like that. That is going to be the mouth. Then what we'll do is we'll put two more circles on the inside of that. Again, very wonky. This is going to be for like the inner layers of teeth. So let's go for one about here. And let's go for one there. And you can see how what I've done with those is they're all very wonky. They're all kind of misshapen. You know, there's little tiny gaps, there's big fat gaps, that kind of thing. That's what you want. It's going to make it look a lot more weirder, a lot more natural. Let's finish off with a couple of eyeballs up the top then. So I'm going to have these eyeballs kind of just straddling the side of the head. And again, that's something you can play around with the scale on that. You can make them thinner or, smaller or larger, whatever you want in there. Okay. That's it for pencil lines. Let's go and grab our pen and start putting in some marks. I'm using a 0.5 for most of my lines. What we'll do is we're going to jump in. We're going to go and do the eyes first. Eyes, nose, mouth, and then we'll finish off with the rest of the head. Nice, quick and easy doodle today. Let's start off with those eyes. First thing, in fact, can I zoom in a little bit more? Let me just try and zoom in a little bit more than that. There we go. That's better. So let's start off with those eyes. The first thing I always like to do with eyes is just take a little slice out of them. So starting outside the eyeball, finishing inside the eyeball, let's just take a little slice out of the eyeball just there. So it's a double-ended flick off, wonky in the middle, flicked off either end. You can see how it starts and finishes just outside the eyeball, taking off a little slice over here. That's all we're going to take off, nothing too much. Over there. This eyeball we're going to have this one kind of open and kind of glaring. This eyeball we're going to have squinting. Okay, so no eyelids on this one. What we're going to do on this one though is let's just go around the rest of the eyeball shape and double line that. Remembering when you double line to colour in all these gaps where your double lining was a bit too good, but also to get into these bits where there's an intersection, because that is where the shadows live. We always want those bits to be a little tiny bit thicker. Okay, that was easy enough, wasn't it? Next thing we're going to do, let's add a little couple of like ripples of skin around the eyes. You can go for 2 or 3 or even just 1. It's totally up to you. We're going to start on the outside of the head. We're going to finish inside the head. So like this, let's start on the outside, finish inside. Again, double line it. Flicked off at one end, strong intersection at the other end. There's just one. Let's go for a smaller one underneath, a real tiny one underneath, just for another little ripple of skin. That's great. Let's go and put some of that up the top as well. Again, have a little think about it. Do you want to mirror that? Do you want to do something different? Always try out different things. If it doesn't work out, don't do it anymore. If it works out, carry on doing it. It's as easy as that. Sometimes you're better off kind of trying things out just to prove that they don't work, because then at least you're learning something about the drawing process. So don't be afraid to take a few risks. Let's go over just there. Look, so again, starting outside that headline, little flick in. I'm going to do a slightly bigger ripple just there. That's nice. I like that. Right, let's not worry about the pupil for the time being. We're going to do the pupil a little bit later. Let's go and move over to the other eye though. We're going to take, I want to mirror this eye. So you see that little shape that we've got there, that little slice we've got coming out. Let's do a similar slice this side, because then that leaves a real nice even space in the middle for the nose of our character. So try and do something reasonably similar. Remember, starting and finishing outside that eyeball line. Now, if you remember, what I said was this eyeball on this side's going to have some eyelids. It's going to be squinting a little bit. So this is the way we draw an eyelid, okay? So over on this side, we'd have just gone around the eyeball. Over on this side, though, we're going to draw a little line, 2 lines across, in fact. Now, with these 2 lines across, the space in between is going to be the part of the eyeball where the pupil will live. It's going to be the part of the eyeball we can actually see. So let's go for a little line there. Just finish just outside the eyeball. There's our first line, little line here, finish just outside the eyeball. Like that. See how both those lines just outside the eyeball, only very slightly outside the eyeball. This bit in the middle, that is going to be eyeball. The bit at the top, the bit at the bottom, that's going to be eyelid. So let's go and do the eyeball now. So we can go from there to there. We're just following that pencil line. Nice and strong at the top and the bottom where the intersections are. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start a line that starts just on the eyeball here. It's going to go all the way around that little line we flicked out. Then it's going to go across the top of the eyelid. Okay, we're going to do that one at the top and then flick one down at the bottom as well. So look, watch this, look, just there, all the way around the top. And a little flick across. Something similar down the bottom here. Like that. Just gives that eyelid a bit of a rim around the edge there. Let's go and add a few more bits in there. So again, just starting just outside. Let's do one down the bottom as well. And then this is a point where you can just add as many or as few of these little wrinkles around the eyelid as you want. I kind of like adding quite a few of them, making it very wrinkly. Going to try and resist that temptation today though. But definitely use that pencil line to help you keep the actual shape of the eyeball in there. Let's do another one like just there. And then there's not really space for one at the bottom. So what you'll do is once you've done enough wrinkles, then we're just going to go all the way over and join into this little slice that we've got in here. So this is where we follow the pencil line now. And just join in there. Same at the bottom. Awesome. So now we've got the eyelid in, we can go and put these bigger, fatter folds of skin around the, I guess, the eyebrow and the bags under the eyes, that kind of thing. Let's try something different with this side though. Let's put a bag under the eye, but it's going to come right into this crack. The reason we're going to do that is because then we can shade it in nice and easy. Look. So just here, let's starting outside. There's our bag. Just take it all the way up into that crack. And then underneath, let's just have a little bit starting outside that pencil line. Just flicking in like that. Nice little fold of skin. We'll put some little lines in there to give it a bit of shape. In fact, let's do that now. Look. So watch this. Look, we're just going to put some little curves. Sticking with this fatter pen. And you see how those little curves that we've put in just give that bag a little bit of shape, just makes it look like it's popping out a little bit more. That's kind of what we wanted. Let's go and do something across the top. So 2 big fat folds over there, starting outside the pencil line. 1 big fat fold. Second one. Like that. Flicked off at one end, fat and wonky at the other. That's nice. Right. Now, what I tend to do, if I've got a pair of eyes and one of them's kind of squinting like this, so we've got some eyelids in, what I'll tend to do, and one of them's not, what I'll tend to do is put the pupil on this one, the squinting eye, to get it just right on the squinting eye, because over on here we can put it anywhere and it'll work. But if we do this character looking up and we put the pupil right at the top, then over on here, and the pupil's right at the top, it'll be covered by the eyelid and it'll just look a little bit weird. So I tend to like to get it right on this side first, where we've got the eyelids to negotiate, and then just make it mirror on that side. Again, have a little think. Where do you want your character looking? Is it looking at something we're going to draw in a bit later, or just want it looking at us? I'm going to put in a little half pupil, a little reflection, colour it in black. It's only a small pupil, so I'm just going to colour it in black with my 0.5. Now once you've got the positioning of the pupil there, we know we can go and put it in on this side without it being too much drama of getting it in the wrong place. So there's our pupil. Go and add in that reflection, which I think was about there, and then colour in the rest. Lovely. We will come back to these eyes. We'll add a bit more detail with some like little veins and spots and wrinkles and detail around the pupils, that kind of stuff. We're going to do all that with a thinner pen. At the moment, we're just focusing on those fat lines. Right then, let's get into the nose next. Now, the nose is one of my favourite ways of drawing a nose. What we're going to do is we're going to do 3 small circles in a triangle. So start off with one at the top, right in between those eyes, and then put them in a triangle. So we'll have one there, and we'll have one over there as well. So we'll start off with 3 small circles in a triangle. Now technically I suppose you could just colour it in and leave it like that, but what I really like to do is join these circles together. So you're going to go from the outside edge, you're going to kind of loop in towards the centre of the triangle and then back out. So like this, look, from the outside edge in towards the centre and back out. Do that on all 3 sides. It's a really nice way of getting you this cool little shape for the nostril. I'm going to use the fat black to colour this bit in. Obviously noses are personal, so if there's a different nose you want to put in on yours, then by all means go and do that. It's always good to have slightly different drawings from everybody. Okay, so there's a little hole in the face for the nose. Next thing we'll do is go back to that 0.5 pen, and we're going to do some little floaters, some little double-ended flick-off lines, just going around the edge. Look, so watch this, just around here. So thick and wonky in the middle. Tape it on the ends. Let's do the same around this one. And the same around this one. There we go. And you can see how that just looks like that hole is now got like a little tiny ripple of skin going around it. We're just giving this skin loads of like, I guess geography, loads of like lumpy bits and bits that are sticking out, that kind of thing. That's what we're after. Okay, let's go and whip into the mouth, and then we'll wrap this up with a head. So with this mouth of this character, we're going to draw some teeth. The teeth are going to be teardrops. All the teardrops, the tip of the teardrop, the pointy part of the teardrop is going to be pointing towards the centre of the mouth. That's the only thing you need to remember on here. So let's go and put the teeth in first. The round part of the teardrop is going to straddle the pencil line. The pointy part is going to point in towards the centre. So this is what I mean. Look. So there's the centre. Let's go and put in one like that. So you see the round part of the tooth straddling the pencil line, the pointy part pointing towards the centre. We'll do some big teeth on the outside first. Doesn't matter too much if your teeth overlap the other pencil lines, that's okay. But if you do that, just try not to have it so that it's just right on the point. It needs to overlap or underlap, not just be finishing on there. So that's just underlapping. That's underlapping by quite a bit. Over here, look, let's go and do one that's overlapping. So it's straddling that main line on the outside. That's the important bit. Go and throw a few teeth in. Something like that will do. Don't go too crazy on it, because now what we're going to do is going to go to the next line. We're going to do exactly the same set of teeth. Just go a little tiny bit smaller this time. So same technique, look, pointing towards the middle, straddling that pencil line. There's one that's straddling both. Let's do one over here that's straddling both as well. Did say go a little bit smaller, but I've not really done that. So let's try and do a little small one just there. And a little small one over here. And I think what looks good about this one is if you keep those teeth random, you don't have to do them in a pattern. On saying that, I've not actually tried it in a pattern, so it might look really cool if you did it in a pattern. Let's go to that last circle. And same technique again. Round bit is going to be straddling the pencil line. There we go. Can we fit? Let's fit another one just there. So each line, each circle's got about 3, 4, 5 teeth going across there, okay? Then what we're going to do on each tooth is we're going to make the teeth look like it's kind of rammed into the gum a little bit. And the way we do that is we just put a little line going around the outside edge. Now it's important that this line kind of straddles this pencil line as well. So look at this tooth over here. We start around the back, straddle the pencil lines. It's going to go over the pencil line and then just join into the tooth there. Let's do the same kind of thing over on the other side. Okay, so 2 little lines, they're kind of coming out of the tooth, look, then go round the tooth. Just making sure that you straddle that pencil line. And that'll become clear why you've got to do that in a second. So let's just quickly go and do all our teeth now. So I'm starting with the outside teeth first. Don't worry if we're going outside the main head here. That's fine. I've got a little trick to get us around that in a little while. Let's go and work on the next set of teeth. Remember, flicked off at the ends. Fat and wonky as it joins the tooth. That one there touching just there, that's fine for them to touch. Work your way around. Like I say, just remembering that the main thing is to try and get that line straddling the pencil line. As you get into these smaller teeth in the middle, just make sure your gum lines are a little bit smaller. There you go, they're definitely looking like little clawed teeth, which is exactly what we wanted. Okay, once you've added all the gums in, now what we're going to do is start joining some of these pencil lines, going over the pencil lines and joining some of these teeth together. So look, we've got that little gap there. Look, all we're going to do is just go over that pencil line there. Double line it, strong intersections again, move to the next part, double line it, strong intersections. Just do this outside bit and then we'll take a little look, see how it's looking. Last one over here. Awesome. Just make that a little bit thicker there. Remember to concentrate on those intersections. It does hold your artwork together a lot better if you do that. So we're going to do that with the other two pencil lines on the inside as well, just going from gum to gum, joining it all up. Just here we're going behind the tooth. Just don't forget where you did those teeth that are kind of like going over two lines. Make sure you go behind them. Last line, another one that we've got going behind. So make sure you go behind the tooth. Last little bit. Weird looking little mouth that we've got there. We're going to do something to that in a little while that's going to make it look a lot more, have a lot more depth to it. At the moment they look like they're all sitting on the front of the mouth. Not such a bad thing, but what I want to do is I want to try and send them back like it's looking into it, like we're looking into a hole. Okay, next thing we're going to do on this, on the mouth area, is just add a little chin. So if you remember that first circle was touching that. That first circle for the head was touching that first circle for the mouth. So the mouth has come down really low. The reason we did that was so that we could add a little bottom lip in. So with this bottom lip, you kind of want to start on the inside of the head pencil line. Start on the inside, just travel outside as we go for this bottom lip, and then get back on the inside over there as well. Try to have a reasonable amount of symmetry to it. So let's go across here. Look, there's our bottom lip. Bring it back up to there. So it's like a big wide U shape. See how it starts and finishes just inside the pencil line. Flick off either end, fat and wonky in the middle. That'll do nicely. We'll come back to that in a little while and add some little curves to it, the same way as we did with that bag. But I just want to get the rest of the head kind of put in first. So let's go across this pencil line at the top. Now the only thing I'd definitely do, if you want to follow that pencil line, that's great. Maybe put a little jump that side, a little jump that side. If you want to add more wrinkles in, you can do that as well. If you want to add a little bit so there's some exposed skull, you can do that as well. Have a little play with it. But if you just want to keep it simple, just make sure you have a little jump onto the pencil line and a little jump that side. So you see how it's not a particularly straight line. Just that little jump either side. And the same coming down here as well. If you want to follow that nice curve, you can do, but just try to have a little jump. What I definitely want to do though is, rather than just following that curve, let's make it a little bit lumpier. Look. See how lumpy you can go with it. So that curve, that pencil lines are just a guide. We don't have to copy the pencil lines perfectly. It's all about experimenting with the pen lines afterwards. There we go, same on the other side, look nice and wonky. That wonkiness will give us something we can work with as well. I'll show you what I mean in a second. But that's looking great. Let's go and quickly whip into the lips. So remember we put those little curves on that bit. Let's go and do the same on the lips. So right on the edge of the lips, look. Let's put some really strong curves. So if you did one over here, it'll be a real strong curve, a real bendy curve. As you get closer to the center though, that curve wants to become a little bit less pronounced. So let's put two over this side as well, just not quite as curvy. Like that. You see we're getting a bit of a, two things there. One is the curves on there give the lips a bit more shape. But also the curves on there just tie in with the curves on there. Just looks like it's all the same character, which is ideal. Okay, another little thing that we're going to do is let's just quickly whip around the outside of this character, adding in some extra little wrinkles. So remember we did that wonky line just there. What we're going to do is every time there's a little wonk, just flick the pen. Look at that. So just 2 little flicks, and look how creased that side looks now. Let's do the same kind of thing on the other side. Look. Little flick there. Big flick there. But even that big flick still really works nicely. Beautiful. Right, let's wrap this piece up then. Let's just go and throw in. Now at this stage you could throw in some ears and stuff like that. I'm just going to throw in a few little hairs. So I'm still using my fat pen. Throw in some little hairs. There's no right or wrong on this, just throw them in wherever you want. You can give it a hairy lip if you want. Something like that. Whilst we've still got our fat pen, we are going to go to the thin pen in a second. Still got our fat pen, let's just go and put in some spots. Now, if you've done a few sessions with me, you know that I like to put spots around the eyes. Just gives it that real nice, like freckly texture. Okay. We'll grab the very thin pen in a minute. Just one last thing we're going to do then. Grab that fat pen and this inside part of the mouth. Let's go and colour that in. The inner circle of the mouth. Go and colour that in. Take your time on it. This is not the kind of place you want to be potentially making mistakes. There you go, something like that. So we're going to make that really dark in there. Now we can grab our thin pen. What we're going to do with our thin pen is we're going to do some little shading. So on that next part of the mouth, we're going to put some lines next to each other. Go side to side, go top to bottom, go diagonally, whatever you want. If you're using colour pens, then this is where you want to add like a darker grey in this area. Now we're going to put these lines quite close together. And the reason we're putting them close together is because when we do the next bit of shading, those lines are going to be a little bit further apart. Important when you do these lines, make sure you go round the teeth, but you can go through the gums still. But yeah, quite close together if you can. You can see how the thin pen doesn't really interfere with the fat pen too much. They look like two different things, which they are. One is this giving it a bit of shade. The other is the fat pen giving it an outline, an actual shape. So here we go, these thin lines nice and close together, going around the teeth. Like that, just adding that little bit of shade. Then what we'll do is we're going to go to the next section of the mouth. This time we're going to leave a slightly bigger gap, maybe twice as much. And hopefully what you can see here is how the way we're shading this makes certain things look further away. So the closer the lines are, the darker that is. we go. Nice. Right, let's finish off this character. We're going to put some little kind of floater lines around the lips, look, with that thin pen. Dots and dashes. Let's take away some skin. Look, what you can do is that you can just draw little outlines like that. Little circles, put some lines in it. Add a little outline around the edge, just to make it look like we've got a bit of a broken skin. Throw in some U shapes for some sweat drips or boils, whatever you want to call them. Little circles. Let's get into the eyes now, moving quick. So I want this to be like I'm going to put this down as a quickie session, so just a nice quick half-an-hour doodle. Some little veins in the eyes, look. Around the pupils with a dotted and dashed line. And I think we are just about there. Finish off with a bunch of quote marks, hashtags, that kind of thing. Stitches. Doesn't really matter what you put in there. There we go. Intention. The intention behind this was always going to be, let's see if we can do a quick and gruesome looking little character. And there you go, a couple of little drips, a few little splats on the outside. Have fun with this as well, you know, if you want to put something else on the outside, a bunch of flies or ears. And the ears don't necessarily have to be like normal ears, you can go crazy with it. So you could do a set of ears at the top, set of ears down the bottom. You could just put one ear at the top. You could put another eyeball popping out the top. You could put a bone popping out the top. There's loads of different things you could do to this little monster to add your own little flavour to it. But there you go. That was just a nice, quick, easy monster ball head with the main focus on being how to draw that mouth and the eyelids as well. Right, I hope you enjoyed that session. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.